everybody, and welcome to We Live in Color. Now, before we start the show, I need you to like, share, and subscribe to Converge, where you can learn more about We Live in Color, Back to Base, and more. Go to whereweconverge.com to see why Black media matters. And you know who else matters? Black women. I can think about the work that I have done over the years, and I don't think that I could have made it without the support of Black women in my space. And this guest is a part of my compass, the compass of my heart, the compass of my leadership. And I'm just so happy here for y'all to finally hear her journey. Dominique Stephens.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Deontay.
Dominique, I have to ask you a question.
Yes, love.
What took you so long? I've been trying to get you on this show since season one.
Don't do me like that.
Since season one. What's up?
Look. You've been busy, I've been busy.
Okay.
We're busy people.
We are busy people.
Sometimes.
But I just been wanting, when I think about the show and the why, we started in 2022, but you were so much a part of the story of like how we wanted to bring in conversation, who was being left out. And I think about the L before the G, right? And how many times Black women aren't prioritized sometimes in our community. Do you feel silent sometimes?
Do I feel silence sometimes? Actually, I don't. And first one I want to say is that, when you were starting to create the show, not everybody has to be in front of the camera, right? Some people find their support systems in all the ways that we make other people shine, and that doesn't dim your shine just because you're not out in front. But does it silence, back to your question, does it silence me? It really doesn't. And I think this is a nod to my mother. And now I'm taking all the wisdom of her because she's recently transitioned into the ancestors. But with that being said is that when my mom decided to raise me and my sister and then my siblings, but specifically me and my sister here in Seattle when she was finding her way as a young woman in the Northwest and just in the world, my mom was clear that Seattle wasn't like her hometown, the South Side of Chicago, right? That there was going to be opportunities given to other folks that may not be given to me or my sister, right? Because we're Black, because we're women, because, right? Yeah, my mom was like, we're not doing that over here, right? This space, this land, this whatever is as much yours as it is theirs and anyone else, right? So you're going to hit your wagon with like your indigenous siblings, and you're going to hit your wagon to your Asian siblings and everybody else in between. And you're going to build this together, but you're never going to be silenced, right? And you're not, and if you start to feel shrunken by this space, you always have me and your dad and your family to rely on. But no, I don't think that I ever necessarily felt silence because that would mean someone silenced me. And I can't allow that to happen. Okay,
that's some real big Aquarius energy.
Look, come on, Aquarius.
But you did grow up throughout Seattle.
I did, yeah.
Central District.
Yeah.
Walk us through what that was like.
Absolutely. Well, proud Seattle proper. It seems like you have to say that now. Seattle proper product. Was raised born in First Hill. But thankful to be a pioneer kid of the African American Academy, even though the building, Acabo, okay, lift the academy up, honey, we worthy. But the building, while it still stands in Beacon Hill, and you can go see it, we moved around a lot, right? It took community and educators and everyone to say that these students, these Black students, deserve to thrive in their education, right? So started there in the beginning and was one of the, I think, second classes to graduate. We were in the Magnolia School before the building got built. Then spent 2 years at Garfield, and I did 2 years at Nathan Hill. That's a story by itself for another time.
Put that on a separate
That's
episode.
right, that's right. Long story short, y'all, Garfield wasn't always pristine, right? And other schools had other opportunities for kids of color. And so I spent 2 years at Garfield and 2 years at Nathan Hill. And then I went on to Tennessee State University, which is a historically Black school in Nashville, Tennessee. And I could not wait to get a taste of my folks.
So tell me the difference, right, with going to school here, and then I would feel like it'd be a culture shock going down there.
You know, folks say that all the time, and I won't discredit anyone else's story from being Black in a predominantly white space and then deciding to go to a historically Black school. It is a jarring, world eye-opening experience. But I think as much as my folks at my TSU campus and Fisk that was up the street, and folks who went to Meharry and all these other folks that I got to meet, I mean, even Vanderbilt folks, and that's a private white school, but you know, with my folks down there, their worlds are so different because they live in the Bible Belt, and their ways of living is so, while it is welcoming, it's also sometimes isolating, and sometimes it's a little held down sometimes. And that's not for everybody, but that's what it is. And so I think I came in blowing the doors down and being like, question your professors, always ask a question. You can say, yeah, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, after that. Yet when you get into a different space, you may be calling someone Cheryl. And I was gonna be Miss Cheryl, right? And folks looked at me like, oh my goodness, you were taught disrespectfully, but it really wasn't that. We were taught to be very open-minded. Again, sometimes when you're in spaces that off jump, your culture is to always put your head down or to round your shoulders or to always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, like this. That means you might be just taught off jump that you have to shrink your body. You cannot be seen. That's not how we are out here. And this is why I want to take my young people out here. Like, if you're born and raised in Seattle, put your shoulders back, stand up, put your head up. You know what I'm saying? And it is something to survive a chocolate city that has a lot of different things going on. It's another thing to thrive as a Black person in a predominantly white space where they act like they don't see you.
You know, I like what you said there about like, stand up, have your shoulders back, right? A lot of our community folks came out and like, we didn't wait till like 30, 40, 50, you know? Like, I feel like a lot of us took ownership of all that we were, our Blackness, our queerness. How was that for you?
Absolutely. I think luckily it came from waves. My steadfastness of being like a Black woman, Black female was definitely rooted and real. And as I discovered myself more and more, specifically as a proud, and I know our community is usually like blanketed with queer, but as a proud lesbian, you know, of like, this is who I am. I really kind of adopt the philosophy of this is my train. I slow down at stations, but if you can't get on, if you ain't riding the ride, you can tuck and roll off. Okay, that's right? So it's not, and to me, it's like, I want people to understand, and specifically now is our job, right? Me and you both, we turned 40 this year.
Why are you telling mine?
I'm telling your business.
I ain't told the audience.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
You know, I'm pretty sure they know.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, what? The roast was on Converge.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the thing is that, you know, we are the adults now, right? We get to be the pillars, and we specifically get to be that new breath of fresh air or that different perspective that maybe a young person, or maybe we were told, you know, we don't ask those kind of questions, or we don't lift up those kind of concerns, or we just don't bring that up in this certain space. Yet we could say, well, actually, no, this is always the time, the opportunity. If someone has a question, I'm gonna bring you along with me, right? We get to give the perspective a little differently, right? We get to say, this is how we show up, and we hope that maybe a little bit of me helps you a little bit be all of you.
And I love the fact that you've always been able to own all that you are, right? Because I want to talk to you about D Dynasty.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about D Dynasty after the break, okay? We're going to take one break and we'll be right back. You're watching We Live in Color.
In Seattle, it's more than just coffee. It's community. At the station, we brew more than just your favorite cup. We brew connection. From Beacon Hill to Columbia City, we're a space for artists, activists, and everyone in between. A place to gather, create, and simply be. Whether you need a quiet place to work, a lively spot to meet friends, or just a moment to unwind, find your place at the station. More than coffee, it's home. Visit us in Beacon Hill or Columbia City. The Station, where community happens. Black caregivers, entrepreneurs, and elders, this one's for you. Queen Care is offering complimentary self-care services to those who give so much to their communities. Take a moment to restore, recharge, and be cared for with free wellness treatments at the Spa House by Queen Care. Spots are limited, so don't wait. Go to queencareproducts.com now to sign up or scan the QR code on your screen because you deserve the same care you give to others.
Working with Dentalman has been totally different than working with a traditional bank.
They're real, and they meet you right where you stand.
I was recently funded, and that money has just changed the trajectory of what we're able to do and our output. This has been just more than just funding or a one-on-one connect. It's been an opportunity for us to really grow and connect and build roots within the community.
As a small business owner, you need to put your faith into the right people, and they seem like good people to put their faith into.
And welcome back to We Live in Color. I'm your host, Deontay Damper, and I am here with the amazing Dominique Stephens. Happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we went into the break, people know you, I know you as Dominique Stephens.
Yeah.
And some other community members know you as D Dynasty.
Yes.
Who is D Dynasty?
D Dynasty. Okay. D Dynasty is my drag entertainment persona. I say Seattle's prolific drag king. Drag kings do exist, y'all. Mm-hmm. I love all my drag entertainers, and I know Seattle loves a good queen. Yeah, don't forget us kings when you creating that stage, looking at entertainment lineup. But yeah, D Dynasty came out. He was created 2014 or so, 2014
about 10
or so.
years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. And really what it is that, so I'm a part of a house of Dynasty, and with my illustrious mother, Regine, St. James Dynasty, all the names they get, I love it. And actually I became a part of this house because as I like to do, I like to connect my bridge to another bridge. So really, Dennis and I, we went to high school together. We've known each other for a while. Regine. And I wanted to be in the background. I wanted to help. And this is how, and I do logistical things. I do stage management, production stuff that's outside of my full-time job. And when I have time, caveat. And so anyway, eventually I went to a few shows, and after I got done zipping up a few queens, I was like, you know, Regine, I think I could do something like this. Like, isn't there an opposite of a queen? Like, someone tell me what's going on. And Regine was like, yeah, there's kings here. I'm gonna send you a few, right? And they sent me some pictures, and it was folks I had met before, mostly in like California. And one night I got some dark eyeshadow makeup. Okay. Drew on a beard. I did a number by an artist that we had to cancel, unfortunately. It's too bad for their behavior. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. But they had to cancel that artist. And I was out in Kent at this little sports bar. And honey, I had a time. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm in on this. Okay. And so from there, I've had the opportunity to perform in multiple places. You know, when we had one of our mountain companies, and unfortunately I can't shout them out because they're not doing Pride this year, but that decided to actually rock against the system and have their first Pride. They invited us up and had their first king up there. Mopop did the exhibit. Stonewall to Now, I'm honored to be in exhibit as the one king entertainer in a little case. Also, you know, you can't tell from the screen, but petite human. And so I inspired the children that way too, because the kids were like, I can fit that outfit. Yes, you can.
Did you ever get any pushback? Because like in the work that you do, right? It's like, oh, well, you're not supposed to. Did you ever get any of that?
No, and I think I got fortunate, to be honest with you. One, again, circling back, I'm very much me, right? Like I come as I am to the table. I bring my community with me as much as possible. We don't always got to be in love with each other, but we damn sure need to be in line, okay? We need to be aligned with what we got going on. And so I didn't get a lot of pushback. You know, I got fortunate that when I did start working in the city of Seattle, and I tried to hide it for a while, once some of the leadership in my office figured that out, they were like, you could have been told us, we could have been utilizing D Dynasty for a lot of things, right? And it was just the time that we were in. And I think that circling to where we are now, you're gonna need people to be as steadfast as to not want to either push people back in the closet, make them shrink themselves, make them hide themselves. That's not what this is about. Specifically in a place like the Northwest, we should be advocating and pushing folks to be as loud and proud as possible, regardless of how they show up in their intersections.
Absolutely. And
I'll say that caveat.
No, but it's true. And I think that, especially when we're talking about queer folks, and I think that there are so many times while we are in leadership, we are challenged. And, 2020, 2019, 2020, 2021, I felt like the community was on fire. Mm-hmm. There was so much unrest. And, it was really hard, me personally, it was really hard for me to navigate. I had very many community folks that I was being tokenized a lot, but also wasn't trusting my own abilities within my leadership. Throughout your 2020 and 2021, did you go through any challenges?
Yeah, I definitely would say that I felt like I was put in spaces because of my proximity to community that benefited not everyone, right? Didn't benefit me, my health, my rest all the time. Trust, I'm still learning to lay down or sit down somewhere, but I'm getting there. And then I think sometimes, as much as your body could get boosted into place, if your leadership and your skills are not being boosted with that, that's where that tokenism kind of comes into. So you don't mind, me going out and doing all these different things, but when it comes down to the drawing board and when we're at the table and that voices or other voices are the ones that are silenced around what could lessen harm to community, what could be a different way that we support and show up to community, even through their protests and the way they want to protest. When those voices start to get silenced at the table, that is a demeaning of who that is, right? So, then you have to figure it out what makes sense for you, right? So for me, I am very mindful of the experience that I went through. It's like, you're not going to minimize my leadership if you're going to try to maximize just my body. And that's the choice that I had to pull myself back. Like, you need to take the full picture. And if you don't get the full picture of all these strategies and all these ways we can engage and all these other things that can happen that, again, reduces harm to our community as they show up with their voice and their bodies, if you're demeaning that, then you're ultimately just perpetuating more harm.
Yeah, and having to navigate that. I watched you navigate it time and time again in your leadership roles. What has been the most challenging for you?
I wouldn't say this part was the most challenging, but sometimes you do have to get out of your own way in your mind, right? If something is, to take my role in my mind is that as I work and we hopefully as we structureize or work to structure dismantling systems, right? And specifically here we are, I think we got a lot of work to do to dismantle what we're living in right now. Yet, as we work towards that, you dismantle it from the inside and out, straight up. Mm-hmm. And so then in my space, it's like getting out of the way of my own thinking to be like, well, what are they gonna say in the back end if I advocate for my folks like this, like this, like this? And as soon as, and usually it's kind of like a little practice. It's like when people get that email and it's not a good email and you start typing start serving it out and then you gotta erase it and say, no, let me put my little professional spin on it. Let me figure it out. It's that pullback. Let me think about it a little bit. So once I get myself out of the way, I'm like, nah, the reason I'm here is to dismantle the system, right? And as much as I don't like this, the worst they can do is let me go. Okay. So at the end of the conversation, I'm willing to know that I lost my job or I lost the position or I lost whatever it was because I advocated for my people, because I was the loudest or whatever it needed to be, or I made sure I was aligned with my colleagues or my coworkers or whoever they were that said, this is what feels best. I'm here to ride with you. I'm here to get it done with you. And I hope that you're willing to come with me on that. So really the biggest challenge is moving my own self out the way, because like I said, at the end of the day, the worst they can say is no.
Okay. Ooh, that's a.
Look,
But even now, looking back at that, right?
yeah.
Having to move yourself out the way, no regrets in that space?
You know, I think that ultimately, when it came down to try to create space out of that space, right? I think those who you end up being with and who you're, associated with, sometimes that comes with it, right? And unless people know who you are and they know your trueness, some people are just going to take for what they see, right? This is why, in a light gesture, I would say, social media is exactly like what you make it. You manipulate it how you want to. And then as soon as you take off that filter or whatever it is, it's real life, right? And so I'm always like, again, back to the statement, we ain't got to be in love with each other, but we're damn sure going to be in line or aligned to what we need as a people. I don't always got to be in love with what my siblings need, but my siblings do need me to rock with them and ride for them.
Yeah.
That's straight up. And so, yeah, there was things that came in the background of other challenges, but challenges are to be overcame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like, again, second time I'm saying it, sounds like a true Aquarian. So we're going to take one more break and we'll be back with the We Live in Color tribute. You're watching We Live in Color.
Here on Back to Besa, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region, and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to Besa journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities.
Working with Dentroman has been totally different than working with a traditional bank.
They're real, and they meet you right where you stand.
I was recently funded, and that money has just changed the trajectory of what we're able to do and our output. This has been just more than just funding or a one-on-one connect. It's been an opportunity for us to really grow and connect and build roots within the community.
As a small business owner, you need to put your faith into the right people, and they seem like good people to put your faith into.
And we're back with We Live in Color, and I'm here with my sister, Dominique Stephens. So this is a part of our show where we do a We Live in Color tribute.
Yes.
Who would you like to tribute?
Yeah, I thought about this. There's a lot of folks who have touched my heart who have now gone on in all the ways. But this one I would say, because I did not think I was going to be doing this in 2025, I'm going to say I pay tribute to my mother, Helena, Joni Marie Christine, Williams Grant Stevens. She got all the names, honey. I love it. That tells you just how I couldn't shrink myself when you got a woman that got all them names.
Right.
But my mom, dynamic human, moved out here in like the 70s, 60s, late 60s, 70s. Really was, I think, a steward, not just to me and my siblings, but also to other folks' kids as well. You know, when you say when they say it takes a village, my mom really took that to heed and really lifted as many hearts and lives as possible while she was here, adults, young people. My mom had a, grace about her. I've been enjoying listening to the stories of folks that she's impacted in her lifetime. And a lot of folks are like, she reminds me of MLK. She has this like grace and this, the way she brings you in. And I always agree with that. And I also lift up that she also has this interesting strength that won't be wavered that reminds me of a Malcolm X. And you always need the both, right?
Yes.
You always need the both. And so I'm honored to have the voice that I have. I'm honored to learn to boast myself when I need to, or be quiet and listen to the ancestors and to the wisdom when I need to. It's another thing that I hope that our young people take a little bit more heed to as well, which is there's a moment to be quiet and listen to the folks who paved the path before you. That's the only way we're going to be able to move forward. So I'm honored to be the person that I am, not just because she birthed me, but because she raised this dynamic Black woman, and that will never go away at all. And so this is, I love both of my parents. Shout out to my dad. Yet this one is for my mom, Helena.
We lift you up, Helena, in the
Yes,
space.
absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, Dominique,
Miss you.
we're going to do a call
Yeah.
to action.
All right.
Now, I know you be doing, listen, I just want to let you know, it's my show, so don't outshine. But
Never that. Who could outshine you, Deontay?
No, you
What
are
you talking
amazing.
about?
But you know, if you can do me a favor,
Yeah.
look in this camera and give community whatever the call is. What's the call?
This one here.
Uh-huh.
Boop. Right there. I'm there. So the call to action right now, y'all, is first, as we've been doing, and hopefully you continue to do, pay attention. Don't get distracted by other trivial things that's out in the world. Pay attention to everything that's happening to us right now. Read the news. Go to outlets that you don't pay attention to. Sometimes get off the TikToks and all these other things. And just read what's happening in the world, because that's going to impact what's happening to us in the next, literally, year, 5, 10 years. These things are no longer just our grandparents' problems. These are our problems. So tap in. And while you're tapping in, and while you're deciding to activate yourself in the ways that you choose to activate, whether that's going out to march and protest, that's whether you're standing up at work, that's whether you're maybe taking in a young person and having them read a book that's been banned in their elementary school. I'm not sure what that might be. But while you're doing something to activate yourself, also take great care of yourself as well. Find the rest you need. If there's a time and a space that does not feel comfortable for you to put your body out there, please don't. Please do not. Specifically, if you are a Black and brown, queer, and trans body, I understand putting yourself out there, but sometimes take heed of your energy and see if that's really necessary, because you know who's going to be left in there? Our siblings. So I want you to just take heed of that and make a wise choice, what feels best to you in the time. Again, I would say, pay attention, activate when it feels right to activate, rest, and heal that part that it seems like you just can't do anything else but to rest. That's okay too. Be mindful of your chosen community, be mindful of how you treat your family, and be mindful of how you treat yourself. We're not going to be able to change the world in the masses, but a little bit at a time, specifically say in the Northwest, when you take your blinders off and you just say a hello, that might be the first step to start to build another piece of community. So pay attention and activate in the ways that feels best to you.
That was a word. That's a word. You know, before we get out of here, I was thinking about a memory unlock. We organized our first Pride together. Yeah. We were riding to go to the place where it was, and it was me, you, and Kenny Joe.
Okay, yes, that's right.
And Kenny Joe got in my car one time. But it was just so great, because we were saving the event, because we were coming. We had to make sure these things were happening. And Kenny Joe is no longer here with us now, but I'm still riding with you.
Look.
And I love you.
We're riding together.
Yeah, I love you. I thank you for every call. I thank you for just being you.
Same.
And I thank you for embedding in me what your mother embedded in you, which is to lift up my head and push my shoulders back.
Got you. And you know what? When it's too heavy, Deontay, you know we got your back to lift you up. So that's the thing.
And I love you.
I love you. I love you.
And I love you, community. I don't even know where I'm looking. And I love you, community. I'm so happy to have Dominique here, and I ain't about to be crying here. So we going to tune in next week. Same LGBTQ time, same LGBTQ channel. Converge Media, that is. See y'all next week. Remember to walk with love and have a great